Patreon.com/the Walk Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there.
I did not charge my AirPods, and so I'm going old school today, buddy. It was funny because I was even looking for my little headphones and couldn't for the life of me find it. And so I'm rolling with the big old radio DJ 1970s. Look how pro I look, though. Hey,
this is great. Yeah, give me your best, like the next rock block brought to you by Ford on the Gecko FM. Give me your best radio DJ, Scott.
Okay. So this is from my radio days back when I worked with Rogers. They forced you to give this as the your traffic and weather together. You like that?
Yeah,
okay, traffic and weather together. They love the rhyming, right? They're like, people will like that little bit of your candy. And
traffic and weather together. I like it. I like it. Very nice.
97.7 Rock FM. Hey. That was my
very
Rock
good.
97.7.
Now, were you Scott Belford on the radio, or did you have like a fun radio name?
So I was Scott Belford, although there was our radio morning show host in Grand Prairie went by Kevin Scott. And so he did this big promotion where all of a sudden he revealed his real name. He said he didn't feel like he was being genuine anymore, working with a fake name. And
nothing worse than a disingenuine radio DJ.
Right. And they're so rare and tough to come by. So so he changed his name to his real name, Kevin Albers. And then I actually got in trouble for this from my program director because I was doing the evening show at the time, and I thought it would be really funny if I ran a big promotion right following that, where I changed my name to Albers Belford, and we just made it a Scott-free radio zone, right? So other than that one day where I was Albers Belford, I have always been my own name.
All right. Very good, Albers. Appreciate it.
Okay, welcome to the walk-off, everybody.
Yeah.
The amount of soft intros, soft opens that we pull off, it's our expertise, our wheelhouse, if you will. Yeah, it is. Welcome to the walk-off, everybody. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. We have all sorts of stuff to talk to about. Our topics start with just a quick differentiating Major League spring training from minor league spring training, what it means when a guy is invited to Major League spring training, and kind of where they go. Okay, so we'll dip into that. We're going to talk Cavan Biggio. Listen, whether you want to hear us talk it or not, whether we want to talk Cavan or not, the man will not stop producing and giving us reasons to bring him up. So we will touch on that real quickly. Who in the system could help this team in 2024? We thought it might be fun to take a look and project down the road. And of course, we'll bring up some names that maybe you're seeing in spring training, but aren't getting a lot of love because they're still another year away developmentally. We'll talk the Yankees and their pitching woes because, oh my goodness, with Carlos Rodon and that news of his forearm strain, Yankees fans are panicking, and probably for good reason. So we will get into it, and we'll do our best not to dance on their graves. We don't want to upset the baseball gods.
Oh, dance on their graves. I wasn't expecting that.
All right. And then we'll also get into just the fact that it's kind of a tough time to be an aging, unrestricted free agent. We'll get into
tough time to be an aging anything right now, Scott. I'll tell you that firsthand.
And we will close up the show with what you're watching. So let's get into it. I did want to touch real quick on an injury update here on Mitch White. Of course, Mitch White acquired at the trade deadline last year. He was hoping to slot in to that starting rotation, be our Ross Stripling, if you will, the long man / be able to fill in that starting rotation. Of course, he was shut down at the beginning of spring with some irritation in his shoulder. The good news is he's pitching off a mound. As of yesterday, he actually pitched to live hitters. It wasn't during a game or anything like that, but Vladdy, Brandon Belt, and Kirk all stepped up to give him some live feeling practice. So that's good news. Okay.
Major League I feel like... versus minor league camp.
Okay.
What's the difference, Scott?
So let's start with this. Rainier Nunez was announced this morning that he is being invited to big league spring training. So the way it kind of works is that spring training, everyone shows up at the same time. So the complex in Dunedin, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's massive. They've got like 6 fields involved in this. So everyone is in there all together, and they're trying to get some of these young up-and-coming kids a few big league-like at-bats, right? Where they're facing major league pitching or guys that are vying for spots. Normally, by about this time in spring, that is whittled down, and then guys are sent to minor league spring training. Well, minor league spring training is still right there in Dunedin. They're still playing other minor league teams.
Same facility, right?
Same facility. Everything is pretty much the same. But the reason they're taking these young players that obviously still need more development and separating them is to give them playing time. Because as it gets closer to the opening of the season, obviously you want your go-to guys, your everyday guys getting playing time and ramping up.
Right,
So
right.
it's
They're
going
not
to
just
allow-
playing 3 innings, taking 1 at bat, and then hitting the clubhouse hot tub.
Yeah, it's going to allow these young kids in the Florida Coast League and even High A Vancouver to go out and get reps and get ready for their seasons, because they're not going to get a sniff of the majors this year. So Rainier Nunez was announced that he was invited to big league spring training. This is a guy who was a little bit off the radar.
Sorry, this is going to bug me. This is my Spectrum stuff coming in.
Yes.
High
yes.
A versus low A, right? We got triple A Buffalo,
Yeah.
double A New Hampshire, high A Vancouver, low A Dunedin. I nailed
Yes.
that.
You nailed it.
Why not B? Why not triple A, double A, single A, B? Like, what do you think is, and maybe let us know in the comments. Let's do the whole YouTube thing, right? Let us know in the comments what is, and I want your actual answer here, Scott. What is more of a slap in the face? The term low A versus high A, or B versus A?
I think low A feels better.
Does it?
I think just keeping the A's in there right off the top. But I have zero answer for this question.
It's weird because when you look at like baseballreference.com and you're looking at minor league stats, it's triple A, it's double A, it's A plus, and it's A minus.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some B. I want to see some B in there. My daughter, sorry, we're going to get right off the rails here for a second, and then we're going to circle back to real baseball talk. Wouldn't be the walk-off if we didn't walk off topic every now and then. Daughter has playoff hockey tonight. Good luck to her.
Yes.
But we play at some interesting hockey arenas around Edmonton. We're out in Spruce Grove and Sherwood Park and all over the place. Every once in a while, we go to an arena and we see like the banners and the rafters, right? And it's like Junior A 1998 championship and Junior whatever, right? I saw one that was, I think it was Junior C. It was like, I understand Junior A and Junior B and you're a small town or whatever it is. Like, I don't think Junior C needs to exist. Does it need to exist? Or like, at that point, should you just give up on your dreams of playing in the NHL and just be playing midget hockey like the rest? Sorry, that's an offensive term. U18 hockey with the rest of
did they
us.
change? They finally got rid of the name midget.
Oh, it's all U. There's no Adam, Pee Wee, Bantam. There's nothing. It's
Good for
U17, U15, U13. That's all we get anymore. I don't know. It was weird. Here's why it stood out to me, because it was a retired jersey number from someone who played Junior B right next to them, and that caught my eye. And I thought that is the Venn diagram of, like, it's a very niche athletic ability to be so talented at Junior B hockey that your number gets retired.
Yeah.
But to not be good enough to play Junior A.
Well, I like it because the Venn diagram is going to show those Junior B stars that are putting up big points, also huge penalty minutes, right? They can handle themselves in the fisticuffs.
All right, let's get back to baseball.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Rainier Nunez.
Wouldn't want to face Rainier Nunez in a game of fisticuffs. He's a big boy.
So he impressed enough in these first couple weeks in spring that he was invited to big league spring training, which just means he's going to get more time against these higher caliber pitchers. He's going to get his feet wet against major leaguers and give him a little bit of experience. He's from the Dominican Republic. He's 22 years old. He was taken in the international free agent class of 2018. So he's showing some serious power. He went deep 22 times last year between Dunedin and High A Vancouver. He impressed this spring, and now he's sticking around. So what does it mean, right? Well, we kind of broke down what minor league spring training and major league spring training is. I know that there was a message on Twitter that wanted us to get into the difference, and that if making big league spring training means you have a much better chance of making the team, I just want to say, no, I don't think it does make any difference if you're going to make the team. You know, like there are those guys on the bubble, but a guy like Rainier Nunez, who's 22 years old, just finished his season in Vancouver. There is still obviously some more development there. And part of that development is going to be pushing him to excel in moments against big league guys, you know, giving him that confidence in himself that he can hit a major league breaking ball. And then I think it's all part of the plan to move him up to AA.
Okay, so you're taking the distinction, does being on the major league spring training or the minor league spring training affect the likelihood that you make the team? And you're saying no.
Well, I mean, for these kids that they're trying to develop, I'm saying no. Obviously, if you're Otto Lopez and they are like, you know what, buddy, you better get down to minor league spring training, that bodes terribly for him because he's a guy on the bubble that is going to.
This is all I'm saying is
yeah.
Yes, I guess on the one hand, is this an indication that Nunez is potentially
progressing,
competing for one of those bubble spots? Probably not, but I would also say zero chance of making the team on the spring training
minor league spring training. So, exactly. Okay, let's talk Cavan Biggio. We wind up begrudgingly talking Cavan Biggio, and it's not even we don't like him. I mean, you bring up all the time. You're a big Biggio guy, have been for years.
I want him to be good so badly.
It feels like a topic we've been talking about for 3 years, which I think is why this is so monotonous and boring to bring him up. And everyone has already heard if we can get Cavan to return to 2019 Biggio, this is just good news for the Blue Jays. And it is. But in this year's spring training, he's kind of not giving us an option to talk about him or not, because he's hitting 400. I mean, he hit a dinger just yesterday. He is looking so good defensively, man. This is one of the things that's just really stood out to me is when you see him in right field, when you see him in left field, the routes he's taking is impressive. He looks like he belongs in the outfield. So my question for you, I guess, Adam, is, and for everyone listening, feel free to drop it in here. Do you think this was the front office's plan all along? They've obviously had a pile of confidence in him over the years. I can't think of a guy other than maybe Trent Thornton who is given more rope by this front office.
This has definitely been the plan. The plan was, look, we have these 3 superstar kids, right? Dads were borderline Hall of Famers. I'm not sure if Dante made it in.
No, Dante didn't, but he was always an all-star and a superstar.
Craig must have, right? Craig 3,000 hit club.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They probably recognized, look, we can't afford 3 mega deals. So let's bring up Vlad and Bo and Cavan. But let's just mess with Cavan just to tank his value for 4 years. And let's make sure that he lacks the confidence and the statistical part early in his career to the point where he does get to free agency. We're not having to dole out $400 million for Cavan Biggio because obviously that's the talent level that this guy's bringing to the table. So they just tanked his whole career.
It's been the long game
to save money. It's been a long game strategy.
His move to third base was just to really get value in 2023 from your utility guy.
Look, they're playing 4D chess, Scott. We're all playing checkers, and they're playing chess. It's been a master class in service time and cost manipulation, what they've done with Cavan Biggio. And, you know, look, he's going to have a breakout season. He's going to win an MVP this year. And when it comes to contract negotiation, they're going to be able to point to those first 4 years of his career and go, yeah, but this is the real you. So here's 100 million, take it or leave it. And he's going to jump at that. He's going to jump at that. So tip of the cap to Ross Atkins. Kind of a savage move, but look, we're going to benefit from it when we have all three kids locked up for a combined 700 million, and Cavan's only getting one of those. So
we watched Santiago Espinal at the beginning of 2023 literally take the full-time second base job. Just take it. And Cavan never really got back in the lineup. I think he played 90 games last year, and it was very much spot starts here and there whenever they really needed a lefty in the lineup. He seems to be doing to Santiago what Santi did to him last year, and I think that we are going to see Cavan in this lineup pretty regularly until he proves otherwise. I mean,
all joking aside, if he can stay healthy, doesn't have to play third base.
Something he hasn't done in the last couple of years was be able to stay on the field.
Remember when he was playing third and he just seemed like every grounder he took at third base like was a jammed his thumb kind of a weird thing, and it was just like, and then of course it's swinging a bat with a jammed thumb or a bruised palm or whatever it was. Like obviously there's going to be an impact there. I do think the banning of the shift or whatever you want to call it is going to help Cavan Biggio a little bit at least. It's certainly not going to hurt his numbers. I think, I don't know, man. I don't want to see him out in the outfield regularly. I think Kiermaier, Springer, and Varsho are better options. But bad tacos do come up, and we saw 140 games out of Raimel Tapia last year.
Exactly.
So if that's a good Cavan Biggio instead of Raimel Tapia, like the ceiling on Cavan Biggio, not MVP.
No. But it's an above average player. You're going to have a guy whose OPS plus is in the plus. It's in the good. It's above average. He's going to be a guy whose OBP is looking pretty darn good and is going to be in the top 1/3 of the team. So if you've got that guy that you can plug into multiple positions, I mean, it really works out.
I think, and I mean this as a compliment, it's not going to sound like one, but I mean it as one. I think the ceiling for Cavan Biggio is 0 career All-Star games.
Mm-hmm.
But a 15-year career.
You know what? This is one thing that is worth stating. Cavan Biggio has managed to stay in the league since 2018. I mean, he's 27 years old, and he's already got 5 years of experience under his belt. He was raised by a Hall of Famer.
He's going to be
around the game forever.
I know I joked about it off the top of tanking his value when it comes to contract negotiations. He's up for a contract extension or a decision in the next year or two.
Mm-hmm. And he hasn't done anything to earn. I mean, at this point, if you're signing Cavan Biggio, you're probably doing it on a 1-year deal. And if it's more than that, it's like what, 2 years, $6 million?
No, he'll get more than 6, wouldn't he? I was thinking it would be in the 5 to 10 range
per season.
He
would need to have a good year this year to do that.
Well, I've already penciled it in. Good year, okay. Cavan Biggio.
Good year, Cavan Biggio. All right. Okay. We'll move on from Cavan Monday. Yes. Okay, so this is fun because I did want to do a little bit of projecting into the future and talk about some guys within this Blue Jays organization that could truly wind up contributing to the team in 2024. So these are names that maybe aren't at the forefront right now, but we could be showing a lot of love to this time next year, right, as we're watching spring training. Before we get into these names, I do want to really quickly touch on Otto Lopez because I know last episode when we were talking about guys on the bubble, right? Bubble spots. We brought up Addison Barger and Wynyard Bernard and, a few of these other guys. And one we missed, he was on my list to bring up. but
Okay.
we didn't wind up talking Otto Lopez, which is kind of funny because Otto Lopez probably the most likely to make this team in that bubble 26-man spot out of spring training. He was on the roster in September. He fills needs other guys don't do because he can play all over the diamond and he plays shortstop. I mean, Addison Barger does as well, but there aren't a lot of guys who can fill in for Bo. There's Santiago Espinal, and that's it. So it would be advantageous to have a dude like Otto Lopez who can plug into that shortstop position. Otto Lopez also very quick, right? He grades high on the speed scale, and he is a good base runner, all things that the Blue Jays are looking to do and use from that utility spot. So a little bit of love for Otto Lopez, who we kind of forgot last episode, but he's definitely a guy.
Otto Lopez, by the way, 8 games with the Blue Jays last year, 9 at-bats, 6 hits. Small sample size.
Small sample size, but his contact rate is good. He is a guy who puts the bat on the ball, something that not everyone on this roster does.
Okay, so this is what I do want to say. In AAA with Buffalo, hit 297, played 91 games, 297. Great sample size, great numbers there.
Yeah.
Again, small sample size, very impressive. What it shows me is that he wasn't
intimidated.
It wasn't too big. The moment wasn't too big for him.
Yeah.
I don't know have the context of when those play appearances came, so maybe they were in 18-0 blowouts in Fenway for all I know. But it's encouraging, I would say. And yeah, it's the 24-year-old could contribute this year.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. He's currently playing on Team Canada with the WBC. So very cool. All the best to him. Now let's get into 2024 and names that we could see contributing to this team at that time. I want to start with friend of the show. Okay. Catcher and outfielder, Zach Britton. Now, I bet you if you're watching spring training games, Zach Britton is a guy you have seen getting lots of plate appearances. This front office obviously would like to see him and how he performs against big league pitching. He's actually even hitting third in the order today of today's spring training lineup. So They are seeing how he performs in the middle of the order. Listen, lefty bat, catcher.
Blue Jays love their catcher versatility.
Play the
right?
outfield. They do love their catcher versatility. So they're going to give him a real taste this spring. You're seeing him out there. He finished the season last year in Double-A with New Hampshire. I think he's going to get the start in Buffalo. It'll be
him and Beck.
He'll probably wind up starting in Double-A and getting the call up in May or June to Triple-A is my guess. Right now they've got Brantley and Chris Beck, Rob Brantley, who's a seasoned vet, right? And Chris Beck in the catching position. I think we could see Zach Britton get that bump up a little later in the season. If you watch his swing, man, it is so beautiful. Like, I love this man's swing. It's effortless. He hits for power. It's just quick and it's smooth from that left side of the plate. So keep an eye on Zach Britton. Again, there's no way he gets a sniff of the major leagues in 2023. I mean, if he does, I'll be happy to eat those words because it means he's lighting the world on fire. But let's take a quick look at his numbers from last year and where he projects.
So in High A, Vancouver, hit 239 with an OPS 831 last year on the back of a 442 slugging percentage. Then got promoted midseason to New Hampshire, played 19 games and very similar numbers, 234 average, 453 slug, and an 808 OPS.
Listen, if you've got a catcher whose OPS is in the 800s, that is a beautiful place to be. He's 24 years old, so he does have a little bit of experience in the minor leagues to him.
Yeah, really tore it up in the Arizona Fall League last year. Hit
He
404 and an OPS 1.057.
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
nice.
And of course, the Arizona Fall League is mostly big leaguers. So to see a guy excel like that, I think that's why he's getting so many at bats at spring this year. Okay, let's move to pitching. Another friend of the show, and a name more people have probably heard than, let's say, Zach Britton. But Sem Robberse, okay, 21 years old, international free agent out of the Netherlands. They picked him up back in 2019. He finished last year at AA with New Hampshire. Had a great season numbers-wise. I'll let you just step in here with his numbers.
Looks like 17 games with Vancouver, had a whip of 1.154 and an ERA of 3.12. And then with New Hampshire in AA last year, had a whip of 1.176 with an ERA of 3.65. What do we always say, though, when we look at these minor leaguers? Every minor leaguer we talk to, as far as pitching goes, earned runs, not a real concern. Especially for starters, that they are trying to teach how to pitch deeper into games, right? So it is an educational process more than it is for positional players and hitters.
Couldn't have said it better
myself. The whip
myself.
you love to see nice and low.
Especially in high Vancouver, where they're going to do stuff like every third ball you throw has to be right because they're teaching these guys to pitch. So kind of throw out the ERA, but again, better that he has a good ERA over those games than a bad, and he does. His velocity, by the way, and I don't know if I even mentioned this to you yet, Adam, it's up to 96. When we first talked to Sem 2 years ago as a 19-year-old, he was topping off at 92 miles an hour. And folks within the development system feel more velocity is there. I mean, when we talked to Zach Britton in December, Sem was a guy he brought up, and he even said, man, when that kid fills out, like he is going to be unreal because he hits his spot. And whenever one of the top tools from a 21-year-old pitcher is control, you have yourself a gem, right? And he has 4 pitches. He mixes them well. Again, locates. So Sem Robberse is a dude to keep your eye on. He is the number 7 prospect in the Blue Jays rotation or in the Blue Jays organization right now. He'll probably start the year at Buffalo. If not, they'll start him in New Hampshire and then move him up pretty quick. Young kid. 21. And outside of Ricky Tiedemann, probably the closest prospect pitching wise to contributing to this big league team.
The closest starting pitcher option that we have, because we do have some prospects.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
That's a good distinction to make.
Yes.
So, but again, that's a real value play there, and having a guy who, I don't think the upside of Sem Robberse is Alek Manoah. But I think the ceiling is a very serviceable 3 or 4 starter in the rotation. So
I heard Arden Zwelling talking about Sem Robberse, and he brought up that he really likes his floor, right? So like you might not have that ace potential like you do with Manoah in Sem Robberse, but the fact that you've got a guy who at 21 throws 4 pitches and locates so well, you feel good that he could slot into that number 4 in the rotation spot in a year or two, and everybody needs a number 4. So the floor is good on Sem Robberse, guy who could truly contribute in 2024. Okay. Final guy we're going to bring up. Listen, we already talked Rainier Nunez. I'm not going to bring up Aurelvis Martinez because most of you have already heard of Aurelvis Martinez. The hype on him has been pretty strong over the last couple of years. So the guy I'm going to bring up is one of the reasons I feel that this guy could contribute is the fact we have a big question mark at third base going into 2024. We don't know what's going to happen with Matt Chapman. Are they going to extend him? If they do, it's going to be expensive. If not, the internal options pretty much play out as Addison Barger, Rainier Nunez, Aurelvis Martinez. These are their third basemen. And the final guy to keep an eye on is a dude who's actually going to be joining us. He was going to join us yesterday. He's playing in the World Baseball Classic right now for Team Canada. So we got to forgive him a little bit. He sent me a message on Instagram last night being like, Scott, I'm so sorry. I swear I'm not that guy that's constantly pushing guys off. And I was like, bro, like, go fucking dominate for Canada, man. Don't worry
Chase
about
your
us.
dreams. Yeah.
But he should be joining us either sometime this weekend or early next week. We'll figure it out. But Damiano Parmigiani, remember that name. And I've got it down now. Took me a while. I fumbled around with it. It's a tough one. He was originally born in Venezuela, Canadian kid, moved here when he was 4 years old to Surrey, BC, grew up in BC. He even went to Vauxhall Baseball Academy here in Alberta. So there's some Alberta roots there.
A classic journey. Vauxhall from Venezuela via Surrey. Yeah,
exactly.
Classic immigrant tale.
Every baseball story. So he finished the season last year with Vancouver in High A on home turf, right? As a Surrey boy. Pretty cool that he got to play with the Vancouver Canadians. Outside of Aroldis Martinez, this kid has the most power in the Blue Jays organization. He hit 24 home runs last year, something that is impressive for a kid that was in low and high A to show that kind of power. He plays third base, which is his natural position. So there is a spot for him if he can prove that he deserves it. But he's also a bit of a Swiss Army knife, which we are well aware how much this organization values positional versatility. So watch out for this kid. Canadian, you got to love to cheer for the Canadian kid within the organization. Again, he does slot in below Aroldis Martinez. He does slot in below Addison Barger. But he is starting to make some noise and starting to get quite a bit of attention from this organization. And keep an eye out for Damiano Parmigiani.
Very cool.
Okay. After all that feel-good stuff, let's get into the Yankees' woes. And listen, as a baseball fan, there's a lot of hate towards the Yankees. And I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. You never want to see injuries happen. Couldn't happen to a better team, though. So, Carlos Rodon, the big pitching free agent get by the Yankees this offseason. And he was truly the most coveted dude on the open market. He is a stud. He's an ace. He automatically became the best pitcher on that Yankees rotation, which is an insane thing to say when you've got guys like Nestor Cortez and Garrett Cole who put up the sort of numbers they did last year. Mm-hmm. He was shut down yesterday with a left forearm strain, which it does suck for the Yankees because that's their big lefty. So now he's starting the season on the IL. Now they did do an MRI that showed the UCL is still intact, but this is bad news for the Yankees and for Rodon. And I know that this is a scary area for Rodon to be dealing with an injury because he already had Tommy John surgery in 2019. 20% of forearm strains in the pitching arm wind up resulting in Tommy John surgery. 20%, 1 out of 5 strains to the forearm wind up. Now, here's some stats about Tommy John surgery. 91% of pitchers recover from the first Tommy John surgery.
Question. Do you think that 80% of the time it doesn't require Tommy John surgery is the other 80% aren't professional baseball players?
That's probably where the stat winds up. Yeah. The other
100% of the time, if you're a baseball
100%.
pitcher, you're destined for Tommy
John. Take a stab in the dark, Adam. The percentage of pitchers that fully recover and come back from their second Tommy John surgery. 91% of pitchers recover from the first one. How many from the second?
69?
Oh,
70?
Love that guess. 69, dude. No, it's actually 33% of pitchers recover from the second Tommy John surgery. It's never as successful. It's a trickier surgery. Normally what they're doing is they're taking your tendon from either your knee or your other arm and putting it in. But once you use up that, then they've got to go to a dead body or something and use someone literally, this is the case, buddy. They're literally using tendons from corpses, and it just doesn't, I mean, they'll recover and be able to use their arm again. So personally, it's good, but can they also get on a mound and throw 99 miles an hour?
Oof. You would not want to be the guy on the Yankees organization with the lowest batting average right now if they're going to need to take one from a dead body.
Josh Donaldson giving his tendon to Carlos Rodon.
Yikes. Here's an interesting quote. This is from Carlos Rodon himself. So last year, this is the quote. Last year, it popped up in early May, the first time I had ever felt it in my forearm, the top of my forearm. Worked with some people, did some treatments. Luckily, I woke up. It was my 5th day getting ready to pitch, and I felt nothing. So that for me is a little bit of a concern, is that not only is this, a few years after Tommy John, but it's also something that popped up last year a little bit. Now, I guess the glass half full, the toxic positivity look at this is, this is something that just happens, and he knows how to
just
manage
go
his
away,
body and
no
could
problem.
just go away. So that's the optimistic look if you're a Yankees fan. The optimistic look if you're a Blue Jays fan, well, this is a lingering issue.
Ongoing issue. So we'll see what winds up happening with Carlos Rodon. But man, this is a heavy hit after it already being announced that Frankie Montas is going to miss the entire season, or most likely the entire season, with his shoulder surgery. Nestor Cortez still not throwing off a mound. He's trying to overcome the hamstring injury. This starting rotation for the Yanks is looking pretty thin to start the season. And yeah, it took some major injuries to happen, but I think it's safe to say the Blue Jays rotation is in far better shape and looks like the best rotation in the AL East with these injuries to the Yankees. Listen, you never want to celebrate it, obviously, but you got to almost give a little bit of credit to this to this Blue Jays front office. Blue Jays fans, I mean, I was crying. I'm not crying. I was calling for Carlos Rodon. I wanted Rodon to be signed by the Blue Jays. I wanted Montas at the trade deadline. And there is something to be said for doing your due diligence and maybe mitigating your risk when it comes to big time free agent signings.
It's a good point. And again, not to blow too much smoke of the butt of old Ross Atkins there, but it is, for obvious reasons, way easier to evaluate transactions they did make. But yeah, for a very real reason, and we're seeing it now, it's just as important to evaluate the transactions they avoided.
Mm-hmm. So. Listen, this could all be for nothing. You know what? This whole segment could wind up being completely and totally irrelevant. Carlos Rodon could be back in 2 weeks. He could maybe miss one start at the beginning of the season and then still win the Cy Young Award for the New York Yankees. The guy is a phenom. He's a legitimate ace, and he's one of the best left-handed pitchers in all of baseball. So you never want to poo-poo having a guy like that on your team in your rotation. But man, already won Tommy John surgery. He's 30 years old and he's feeling lingering effects in his forearm. Man, that's scary stuff.
Well, you know what? Give me 170. You know what? Give me 170 good, healthy innings out of Chris Bassett over 40 innings out of Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. And great point with Chris Bassett, an inning eater, and a guy with very little injury history. Okay, to our final topic before we get to what you're watching. Too young to retire, but too old to be signed. Right? It is a tough time in baseball history for middling to decent free agents right now. Both Gurriel and Jose Iglesias and Yuli Gurriel, not even on minor league deals. They were non-roster invitees to the Miami Marlins camp. Woof. Ugh. Do you have Yuli's stats up? Because he's a really interesting dude, isn't he?
Very interesting. Batting title in 2021. So just one season removed from hitting 319 with the Astros at age 37. Last season, however, 242 with an OPS plus of 84.
Mhm. So below average player.
Below average player. I think his wins above replacement was actually a negative last year, 0.03 for the WAR fans
Right.
in the room. I'm not one of them, but I do like to throw it out because people are always curious about that. Very interesting career path for Yuli Gurriel here, Lourdes' older brother. So made his major league debut at age 32. 2017, 2018, 2019, his batting average looked like this: 299, 291, 298. You'll take that. The COVID shortened season, 232. That's a weird year. We'll count that one off. 2021, the season before last, hit 319, as we mentioned.
And
Now
wins
back
the
to
batting
242.
title.
So 39 years old, coming off of statistically his worst career season as a big leaguer.
This is where, Adam, 10 years ago, teams would have taken a flyer on Yuli, I think. And now it's kind of in a time where they would just rather pay their minor league guy $750,000 to bring them up. You save a little bit of money and you're working towards developing your next first baseman or whatever it may be. But it is interesting to see a guy who is 1 year removed from literally winning the batting title, needing to take a non-roster invitee to a camp.
Yeah. Look, here's Marlins might be good this year.
Yeah, the Marlins might be good this year. They've got maybe the best pitcher in the league at the front of their rotation in Alcantara.
Well, yeah, the pitching is good. I mean, if Gurriel can bounce back from last year, even if he hits like high 200s, if he's hitting like 270, 280, you'll take that from him. Like, again, in 2021 career year, also won a Gold Glove. Like, he's no slouch defensively.
And it is so impressive to see a 37-year-old win a Gold Glove and a batting title. It's just mind-blowing. But, I mean, we talked about it before we hit record. Father Time catches up to everybody. It's the
Undefeated.
oldest saying in sports. Everybody loves to bring it up. And there is just a moment where bat speed drops. I am not there on the field. We're not scouts. I have no idea where Yuli is at. And I know last season, obviously, was a rough one at 38 years old. And I think that's why the Astros moved on from him. And I think it's why nobody was lining up to sign him. You know, old and a bad season. But it is, it's almost, I don't know, for lack of a better term, man, it's kind of sad to see a guy who is just like so good and then not given the opportunity. But that's the way it goes, right? 39 years old.
That's the thing, is if he was 34 and
he'd get a Brandon Belt deal.
Well, that's the thing, is you go, well, maybe he can find it for the next 3 years, right?
Yeah.
But like once you're 39, it is kind of
Yeah.
Like why there's no long-term future there. So
I mean, us Jays fans are used to this, right? Because we're loaded with our premier players being late bloomers. So we watched Jose Bautista kind of find it at 30. Well, we watched Edwin Encarnacion kind of find it at 29. And man, were they ever good at 35? And then just not at 37, you know? So it catches up with everybody. Anything to add on that before we move on to what you're watching?
No, I think maybe a resurgent year for Yuli. I think maybe one last kick at the cat before he says goodbye. I think Marlins might be good this year. That's my take. Marlins might be good.
The Marlins, indeed. Okay, so on to what you're watching. I'll start.
Please.
We talked about this on Wednesday. How excited are we for the WBC World Baseball Classic? So this weekend is going to be my attempt to get into it. Canada starts on Sunday with their round. They're playing Great Britain. The tournament got underway a couple days ago. And so that is going to be how I spend my weekend. I'm going to be trying to get into this World Baseball Classic because I want to be. I want to be enthused about it.
I love it. All the best. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I will be I'll be watching whatever my wife wants to watch. Today
atoning, if you will.
Today is a 6-year anniversary of my wife and I's first date, which means nothing to me, but is something women love to keep track of. So,
yes.
How did we celebrate? I slept on the couch last night. I teased this before we hit record, but I bought a new baseball glove, and yeah, it was an expensive one. Nicest glove
it was.
I've ever bought myself here. I think it should be here by Monday. So maybe by Tuesday's mailbag, I'll show everyone why I slept on the couch.
The reveal.
The reveal. Yeah. I will put it up. It'll be up on Patreon by the time this goes out. So everybody, the pictures of it.
Yeah.
For those that
it's
can't
beautiful,
bear the anticipation.
by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Before the show, and you know what? I recorded that because we record all the pre-shows for Patreon. So I'm just going to play that clip of your reaction to me telling you how much it cost. But for everybody that's watching, drop your guesses in the comments here in the next couple seconds. The price tag on this baseball glove. I did some bad math on my USA to Canadian dollars conversions, which will get you every time. Didn't realize how worthless the Canadian dollar was right now. I did some online shopping at Christmas time, and it was about $1.25 was the conversion rate. It's up to almost $1.50 now, so you can see where just me assuming it was still $1.25 would add an extra, 25 cents per dollar. And then when you tax shipping up on top of that. So I got a screenshot from my wife last night about 10 o'clock. She was in bed and I was downstairs watching Harry Potter with my kid. Too late for her to be up on a school night, quite frankly, but we're watching Harry Potter and I got this text screenshot from her visa statement. I was really hoping that she was just going to not see it, not check her statement. It was going to, the glove was just going to arrive. And then I would show her, I'd be like, look at this cool, super beautiful neat glove. Right. And then she'd be like, how much did that cost you? And then once it was here and too late to return or cancel my order of,
you could be like, the price cost tag. Us, baby. Cost
We're
us.
married now. Right? Yeah. So it here's the bombshell. It cost $600. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of shekels.
More than I was expecting.
Yeah. Well, I'll be sure to clip that the reaction from you.
Yeah.
From the pre-show into that. But yeah, pretty penny. So if you want to see what all the fuss was about, why I decided it would be worth sleeping on the couch for. But hey, we're doing a live show. Well, we're doing a couple live shows in Toronto this June. I'm going to bring my new ball glove with me.
Yes.
I'm going to try and catch myself a foul ball with this $600 specimen. So, and if you're so lucky as to be in the Edmonton area this spring, summer, or fall, and you play slow pitch, catch me at first base.
Keep your eyes out.
New glove.
Yeah.
New glove. So if you really want to see it, it's up on the Patreon right now. Otherwise, wait till Tuesday and I'll reveal it. It might just become a fixture piece in my office behind me here.
Yeah.
See. It's a pretty nice looking glove. I don't deserve it. That's for sure.
It should be on display. It should be on display. Yes. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We always appreciate you, the walk-off community, and everything you've done for us over the couple of years here. It is so cool what has been built, all of us together. Feel free, if you have yet to hit like and subscribe on this video, we appreciate it. A big tip of the hat to all you audio listeners. Your numbers grow every single day, and we're truly grateful. You can feel free to join the Discord. Honestly, this Discord is so much fun. I'm still blown away by the interaction within it and how many people are constantly talking baseball, Blue Jays, WBC, and everything in between. All you got to do that, I know if you go within our show notes there and hit the link, or you hit the link elsewhere, it's a dead link. So what you need to do is just message Adam and I, and we will send you a working link to join Discord. Thank you to all of our Patreon members out there. We truly appreciate it. We are going to make up for that trivia night. We're going to do 2 trivia nights at the end of kind of a back-to-back idea at the end of March here. Moneyball, and
There'll be a poll to vote on. So get your votes on. That's up right now by the time you see this. Vote on which movie you want to add to March's trivia night. So there you go.
all the best, everybody. We will see you Monday. Cheers.